In this episode, I get a chance to sit down with David Hughes with Copper Reclaim. Take a listen on how David is changing the copper recycling game with his mobile weigh and pay system. All right, welcome everybody. I'm sitting here with David Hughes from Copper Reclaim. How you doing, David?
Doing good, Nick. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. So what you're doing out there in the recycling world for copper is a game changer. And I'd love to kind of show everyone and have you tell everyone what it is. What is different about Copper Reclaim versus, say, like United Metals, like who I work for?
So it's a convenience thing. We'll come out to you with our mobile truck. We have scales and containers. I weigh it right up there in front of the customer. They get to see the weight. They get to watch me write it down. They get to watch me put it away. And I give them a receipt and we pay them cash on the spot, whether that's at the job site, at their shop, in the middle of nowhere. I've gone out in fields before and met people. So we just kind of bring the scrapyard to you and keeps them from having to pack it all up and travel and then unpack it. Let me do all the work.
So you're saving these electricians, these plumbers, these contractors, you're saving them time,
Yeah.
right? Because they're still getting the same value they would get at most scrapyards, probably more. You're probably paying them more because you buy so much. I'd imagine you can tighten your margins down a little so you can pay a little higher.
Yep.
So what is your number one clientele? Like who are you helping mostly?
I'd say electricians are my number one.
And are you mainly going to their shops? Are you going to their job sites? What's like the most common spot?
I'd say it's probably 50-50. I met most of my customers out on these new subdivisions that they're building.
Okay.
For probably 3 months straight, I just drove all these new subdivisions all around the valley, met them. Some people I just buy it right out of the back of their truck. They'll call me when it gets full, and then some people take it back to their house, and they call me when their garage gets full. So it's probably a 50-50 split.
And on what they're selling you, are they selling you just clean copper? Or what are they selling you?
It's a mix, usually in between like Romex, insulated, and bright and shiny.
And how are you buying like the Romex? How are you buying the insulated?
By the percentage of copper inside.
Okay.
So I'll do a breakdown, which we post online under Copper Reclaim.
Okay.
And then that'll tell me the percentage of copper versus insulation. So when I buy it, it's already bought off, not the insulation, but the copper inside of that.
So you've put the work in and you've broke down all the main types of wires, so you know the percentage without even having to do it right there.
Right.
If you had something weird for a customer, and even if they were like gave you a sample, would you give them the value on that, or would you just take like an educated guess?
I'd give them the value on that.
So you'd break it down, do all that?
Yeah.
And once you get the wire, what do you do with it?
Comes back to the shop where we have guys sort it into different categories for our copper choppers.
Okay.
And then that'll get dumped into there and get shredded up into a real fine copper.
And how many copper choppers does Copper Reclaim own?
2.
Okay. So let's backtrack now. You didn't always work for Copper Reclaim.
No.
I mean, I know this, but not everyone else knows this.
Right.
You let everyone know where you started. Let everyone know what brought you into recycling.
So I started with United Metals back in June of 2018. I actually started cleaning brass, and I was just a one-man show, cleaning every little piece of brass by myself and stacking batteries. And then in between that, I would help out retail. And then I got carried over into the converter reclaim for a little while, where Jay Milligan taught me some of that stuff. Got back into brass, and then they moved me into the scale house, where I ran the scale house for 2.5 years. And then they created Copper Reclaim, and this is where I'm at today.
So with all those experiences in the recycling world and the scrapyard, do you think what has it taught you most? What has it taught you about customers? What has it taught you about recycling? One thing I'd like to, because I know when I started in the recycling world, my eyes were like kind of just opened because I didn't know this world was so big.
Yeah.
What was your biggest like takeaway once you started?
All the different customers. I didn't know anything about recycling. I've never worked a day in recycling in my life until I started with until I started with United Metals. And just like you, it opened my eyes to all kinds of things. I didn't know how anything was processed. I didn't know like how much metal was actually being recycled. I had no idea you could recycle half the metal you could.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it opened my eyes to everything, and now it's opening doors to a lot more.
And one of the coolest things that I think is coming out of recycling for myself is all the relationships I've built.
Yep.
And a lot of them started as truly like a business to business relationship, more of like a professional. But I have so many people that I'm just truly friends with. Not just, and a lot of them are coworkers, but a lot of them were just customers. So I think that's like with the heart and soul of the scrapyards, the recyclers, is that we're one of the service industries where it's really got that commitment to each other. You got to put a lot of trust in each other
Yep.
because the value on scrap changes like this. Copper's up 5 cents today, and tomorrow it might be down 10. It's all about consistency, though. You got to stay consistent. You got to learn your customers. And what you guys are doing is changing the game for scrapyards. I like seeing it. I like seeing the innovation. I like seeing that stuff. Gary Vee always talks about try to put yourself out of business. Try to be, like take Uber for example, like American Taxi, the biggest taxi company in the world in the United States. They should have invented Uber, but they didn't.
Right.
Say like Hilton, they should have invented Airbnb, but they didn't. And full disclosure, Copper Reclaim is a sister company of United Metals, and you've really just taken it and just made it your own. And that's something with all of us combined. We wanted to kind of see the next evolution, the next step in recycling, and we see a lot of value in providing a mobile scrapyard, like you said. And we don't want to just stay, here in Boise. Like, I want to see you grow this thing into like an empire. So where do you see Copper Reclaim in 5 years?
I see it in states all around the Northwest.
Okay.
Eventually branching out, and then hopefully, me getting to travel around and help set those up around different states.
So you would be able to help set up like every area. Would you give them, kind of just give them your blueprint on how you did it? Because you've found a lot of success doing it.
Yeah.
What would all that blueprint have? What value would you give? Say you got Joe Blow up in Washington that wants to do it, and he's got a lot of hustle to him, but he doesn't know anything about copper. Like, how do you get him trained up?
Well, we take them down here,
Okay.
show them how to break the wire down, find the percentages, get them familiar with the names of the wire versus like what we call it versus what electricians call it, because it is two different things when we're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And explain to him that it's all relationship driven. If they don't trust you,
Mm-hmm.
then you're not going to have a relationship and you're not going to get their copper. So everything has to be very transparent with each other
Mm-hmm.
and truthful with each other. Otherwise, it just won't work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. The transparency is important in this day and age with with everything on the internet. There's no more trade secrets. It's all out there.
Yep.
But there is still a lot of value in putting the work in, like doing the breakdowns, taking the time to have, like Sage edit it, and put it out there for us. Because without that, without putting the information out there for everyone, then there could be a little bit of unclarity on like what percentage, Romex has, like the yellow one versus the orange one versus the white one. Like you've broke all those down.
Right.
But the electricians, they don't know that. So if they can go to like your website and say, oh, this guy's got it here, here, and here, and this is the exact percentage that I should be getting paid for, then it's all out on the table.
Yep.
And then you could really break that out and share that information with guys up in Washington and Oregon, California, Utah, And that's where I would love to see this thing go. Start Pacific Northwest and just the whole United States.
Yep.
I think that'd be awesome. I think it could truly happen, man. I think it's gonna change how everyone recycles. I don't think you'll see. Well, I think you're kind of seeing it to a certain extent with all the junk companies. Like, there's so many junk
Yeah,
companies out there.
it's growing around here with those.
Yeah, there's a new one all the time,
Yep.
you know? And, you know, they've obviously found a lot of value because they haul just a lot of scrap, you know, and they're charging people.
Yep.
Now you're driving around and paying people.
And there is no charge. There's no convenience charge. There's no container charge. Like we offer bin service, which is also free.
Yeah, what kind of bins do you give out?
So we have roller bins. We have 96-gallon carts. So I've dropped those at people's houses, shops.
A lot like a garbage can,
Yeah.
like you'd have.
Yeah. Yeah, except it's our own color of a garbage can, and so that way it doesn't get confused with anything else. It's definitely our own with our logo and everything on it.
And then your customers can keep their scrap copper, not like in the back of a pickup.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing. Like, we like dealing with only like reputable people selling it.
Yes.
And when you're giving those to businesses, they're able to keep it out of the hands of like all the thieves. You know, they're able to tuck it away, put it in their utility trailer, take it back to their shop, keep it secure, rather than again left at a job site.
Exactly.
And then you get these guys just stealing it, you know, and I hate that more than anything because that's what gives so many scrappers and scrap yards that are doing things the right way a bad name.
Yeah.
So if you just take that variable out, even with a mobile service where it's not sitting as long, you know, that just deters theft right there too. If they know you're going to be running around, you know, and they know it's secure, you know, it's going to just kind of change the game even farther.
Yeah. No, I've seen other scrap yards. They leave bins at customers' shops, but they're not on wheels. And so a lot of customers, they don't really like that because it's stuck in one spot that they can't move. All of our carts and stuff are on wheels, so they can wheel it out of the way, move it, whatever they need to do. So it also helps them that way.
Do you see any other innovations, any other changes to Copper Reclaim's brand, to how you do things? Do you have any ideas how to make it better? Or is that just kind of something you're still like day to day trying to work, refining it?
We're still working on refining it. We're still growing and learning every day. And every week we're getting new customers, which also helps us learn. Because everybody's different, everybody does stuff different. So every time you meet a new person, you learn a new thing.
Where's your service area? How far do you go?
I've gone all the way out to Rexburg, Idaho, which is East Idaho, all the way out to Ontario, and Northern Idaho is my next goal this summer.
So you're going all the way to like Eastern Oregon to Eastern Idaho.
Yep.
That's kind of your area.
Yep.
And you're still kind of meeting new customers all the time. You're doing a referral program.
Yep, so if you refer somebody to Copper Reclaim and I buy their wire, just depending on how much we buy, we give up to $200 cash.
Okay. How do people get a hold of you? How do people set up like an appointment?
They could call my office or my cell phone number.
Okay.
And that's 208-867-9802. And even if you call my office number, 208-336-2828, it still rings to my cell phone.
Okay.
Because I'm hardly ever in the office. I'm always on the road.
Do you prefer phone calls, texts? How do you prefer to get?
Either or.
Doesn't matter to you?
It doesn't matter.
All right, we'll put that on the bottom here so people can reach out to you. Okay?
All right, awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.